retreat. My husband and Bonnie Brown, knew I was going to do that, both beloved members of this church, passed away in the early part of the year. It was such a time for me, such a sad time for me, and I cried throughout. Afterwards, I realized an amazing thing about this. Everybody let me be where I was and offered hugs and Kleenex. Very good. It was a place and a time where I was emotionally safe. I was allowed proper time to heal and release my pent-up emotions. The second year was very different. It wasn't a new place. Returning to Silver Lake was exciting and familiar. I was in a better place emotionally, and even though the tears came now and then, it was because my heart had been touched and warmed with the fellowship, laughter, and sharing. For me, retreat is an escape from my everyday life. I have been attending retreats for over 30 years. I love them. And I have found two wonderful things about retreats. I love to get away to a loving, spiritual-filled environment, and I have always learned something about myself, and this lesson has added to my faith in God. It has been adventure that has helped me look at life from a very different perspective. Silver Lake is a wonderful place, but I haven't had the opportunity to experience all that it has to offer because I've only been there in March, and there's been snow on the ground. The retreat house comfortably accommodates all of us, and the great room is wonderfully open, and the area where we can gather and share. There is a special connection that develops among all of the women who attend. There are activities, lessons, fine meals, and traditions from years of experience holding retreats. They are very, very special to me. Being on retreat provides a sense of joy, peace, wisdom, and just plain worth. I feel I belong, I am accepted, I am loved, and I am taught. But the best part is that it changes or transforms me because of the spirit of the fellowship. The place is holy ground. It is above all a place of love. I am looking forward to March and another trip to Silver Lake, and I promise to bring my turkey chili. And again, I hope everyone will consider coming. Thank you.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Bob Dingling. I was asked to talk about the Saugatuck Men's Retreat that has been held the last 2 years at Silver Lake. Over the years, I have been to several men's retreats to other locations, but going to Silver Lake in the autumn has been a special treat. That time of year had always ensured that the colorful drive to the foothills of Berkshires was ahead. Doug Johnson, who does yeoman service here at Saugatuck, and I have driven up to Silver Lake, following a path we have taken many times before to Mohawk Mountain. For the last 2 years, we turn off Route 4 in Cornwall, pull into the parking lot, and look up at the green trails snaking around the mountain. This year, we were joined by Larry Yassin and Willie Salmon in our little side trip, and I'm sure they were wondering what that was all about. In each of the last 2 retreats, Frank Bassler and Willie Salmon worked hard to provide not just an enjoyable experience, but a learning and growing one as well. We have shared stories with each other that would not usually come up at fellowship hour. We have explored our fears and pains and ways we have dealt with those. Sharing this has allowed us to learn something about each of our companions, but also to look at ourselves and our own selves in perhaps a slightly different manner. Last fall, when we arrived at Silver Lake, several others were already there. As we began to unload our overnight bags and stuff, we had noticed that Craig Gillespie was there, and he had an SUV filled to the roof. On moving closer, we realized that he had more than a dozen drums. As we helped carry them into the main room, we wondered what these could be for. They were all sizes, from small handheld ones to large drums that you held between your knees. They made all ranges of sounds. As the day went on and we moved through our activities, we discussed meditation as a tool for improving our lives. We discussed how some of us set aside time each day to meditate, and how some of us had success while others not so much. This then led to the discussing the drums, and we eventually learned what they were for. Through a handout and discussion, we learned that therapy drumming induces deep relaxation, lowers blood pressure, and reduces stress. Researchers suggest that drumming serves as a distraction from pain and grief. A drum circle provides an opportunity to connect with your own spirit at a deeper level, and also to connect with a group of others like-minded people. Group drumming alleviates self-centeredness, isolation, and alienation. As we started drumming under Craig's guidance, with Willie starting the beat, each of us gradually joined in with our own drum. With our eyes closed, listening to as the sound grew with each new drum, you could hear the beat change and morph like a wave as each of us settled into our rhythm. As the minutes passed, I could feel the vibrations and the sounds meld into a calming, familiar pattern. Surprisingly to me, the drumming that I expected to be so jarring was perfect for allowing me to let go. One last thought on Silver Lake. One of the highlights for me in the 2 retreats occurred during an evening break in the first year. I walked outside and down the driveway to a small open field that has a volleyball net and some rustic benches. This particular evening was cool, crisp, and clear. I looked up for the first time in years, and I saw the Milky Way. Living in Lower Fairfield County for the last 50 years, this is something I had not seen in a very long time due to all the light pollution that causes our night sky to range from a dirty gray to a funny dark pinkish color on the horizon. Here, only the brightest stars stand out, and there's no white smudge of the Milky Way across the night sky to be found. Being there in that moment alone was as peaceful a moment as I could remember, and allowed me to escape the day-to-day in the enormity of God's creation. I cannot think of a better place than Silver Lake to listen. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah. I'm also here to talk to you about my time I spent at Silver Lake. I've been at Silver Lake twice in my life. Once for a weekend at a confirmation class retreat, and a second time this summer as a counselor for pregnant Allison's God's Imaginarium with 5th and 6th graders. Each time I visit, each visit fosters a transformation, both personally and with the groups that I visit with. God's Imaginarium was pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It was a creative outlet for 5th and 6th graders to stretch their imagination. The overarching theme of the week was looking into how God uses his imagination to create the world we see around us. Each day of the week held its own theme as well. God is a writer, God is a potter, God is a peacemaker, God is a builder, and God is a weaver. My personal favorite of all of these days was our exploration of God as a potter. We went down to the pond on the first or second day, the first day, and it was a part of our regularly scheduled trip to the pond for swim time. So we split up the kids into groups to make sandcastles. As a contest, each group was given 30 minutes to mold a sand sculpture of places where they might find God. As the time ticked on, intensity heightened, resources were traded, and alliances were formed between groups. Truth be told, I can't remember much about the final products, other than the extremely impressive intricacy of many moats, bridges, and castle walls. But what left a lasting impression on me was the energy of the group as a whole, while friendships were being molded first, and sandcastles second. Watching the kids play, listening to them talk, I was reminded of myself at that age, and years after that, leading up to this one. I realized how fortunate I was, and how fortunate I am to have grown up with the opportunity to talk openly and freely about God, what I believe in, and hear what others believe. I've been given a gift in that. There are so many people in this world who don't have that opportunity to express that creatively. And just like the church we're standing in, Silver Lake is one of those sacred places where kids can feel free to be themselves while growing spiritually and making lifelong friends. Thank you.